Hi, my name's John and this is my partner Michelle. And this is our 7-year-old 70,000 mile Tesla Model S.
Come with us as we travel through 9 countries from the south coast of the UK to the top of Norway. A journey of over 5,000 miles in a car that the tabloid press would have you believe has little to no battery performance left.
And let's see whether the Tesla charging network is up to the job of getting us all the way there and all the way back. Because if it is, Elon's paying for all the fuel.
Welcome to the long free ride. Welcome back to the long free ride. In this episode, we leave the top of the Trolls Road and go to our overnight stay in Valldal, and we end our journey in Bergen. Zooming in, you can see we're following some fjords and end up taking some ferry crossings for part of the journey, and we stop twice to charge.
When we visited the Trollstigen in late June 2023, they were in the process of completing a new visitor centre. Certain sections of it weren't yet open, but of course the gift shop was, and all of the walkways that took you out to look over the fantastic view. Some of them lead you over the river as it plummets off the edge to fall into the depths of the valley, and others that led you along the edge of the drop-off. Whilst I don't mind heights, I don't really like edges that seem to pull you into a void. And I'd have to say the walkways at the top of the Trollstigen really felt that way to me. I don't know whether it was because I was tired from driving, or lack of sleep, or just the trip catching up with us, but I did feel uncomfortable and I did feel somewhat dizzy. And there was no way I was going to go down to the final platform that jutted out from the cliff face. So we completed getting footage, and then we headed back to the visitor centre, where luckily there was still an ice cream van operating for me to top up my sugar levels. The afternoon was getting on and we really needed to get on to our final destination of Valldal. But we'd only gone about half a mile before the scenery was fantastic again, and I just had to stop to get the drone out and get some footage.
We arrived in Valdal, a little Norwegian village, so scenic mountain backdrop, has the fjord as well. There were even people still swimming after 8 o'clock in the evening, but it looked too cold for us, I have to say.
The next day we hit the road after a great breakfast at our accommodation. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't that kind to us, and there was low cloud and drizzle, so the car cam had to be put away. Within about 10 minutes of setting off, we had our first ferry crossing. These ferries just shuttle backwards and forwards day in and day out. Most Norwegian drivers have tags on their cars, so there's no need for them to pay. But for us, they would scan our number plate and then come and ask us for some money. We'll talk a bit more about road tolls, tunnel tolls, bridge tolls, and ferry tolls in a wrap-up video that we produce at the end of this series. But those of you that have been following us will know that we didn't do a lot of planning before this trip. And so on the ferries, we would have to pay full price. You can get discounts on the ferries, but it does involve you having had to set up an account in advance. And some of them even require things to be sent to your home address. So if you're trying to do it while you're on the road, you're going to have a problem. The crossing took about 20 minutes and we were soon on our way again.
As you might expect on a road trip of this length, John and I came across a number of accidents, and each one served as a reminder that we needed to pay real attention. The edges might not look scary on roads such as this, but you can easily land yourself in a ditch. Certainly this northwestern part of our trip across Norway, we've seen quite a few cruise ships, and they are just absolutely enormous floating villages, and you can get a sense of a place completely changing when one or two or even more of these arrives in port. So in a previous video I talked about occasionally having some difficulties with Tesla chargers. So we arrive at our charging point at Ski, and we are immediately approached by a very nice blonde Norwegian lady. John, of course, was only too happy to run across to her car in the rain and work out whatever her problem was. Still to this day, I don't know what her problem was, but it was a hire car. She'd been stuck there 30 minutes. There'd been nobody else coming to charge, and she didn't know what to do. So knight in shining armour, as always. Took me a while to realise, though, that he'd been so keen to jump to her aid, he hadn't even plugged our car into charge. So I had to get out in the rain and plug in our car.
During the afternoon, the cloud lifted and the day became a bit better. Before we got to Bergen, I thought I'd fly the drone one more time, as I knew in the city there'd be restrictions due to the airport and just too many people around and all that sort of thing. Compared to the day before, it wasn't the best footage, to be honest. And it turned out in the end to be the last time we flew the drone on the trip. But it has provided us with some memorable shots during the tour. On the way into Bergen, we stopped to charge at what must be their equivalent of Blue Water. And here the supercharger was very busy. In fact, we had to queue for about 5 minutes before we could get plugged in. We were plugged in at the charger for 26 minutes. And then we hit the road again towards our hotel.
To actually arrive in Bergen, you cross the Askøy Bridge, and we were staying towards the airport, so out of the town centre, but very close to their light railway, and it would take us about 20 minutes on the train into the centre of Bergen. We chose the out-of-town accommodation because of the secure parking, and it had a Tesla destination charger there, so it was really convenient on those points, and only being a 20-minute train ride into the centre of Bergen meant we didn't have to worry about parking whilst we explored the city. It worked well for us. It might not work well for others.
Let's take a look at the stats, and these cover this and the previous episode. We covered 475 miles, which is 764 kilometres, and we used 145 kilowatt hours of battery power.
4 charging stops this time, and we were stationary for 2 hours 11 minutes.
All 4 charges were done using the Tesla supercharger network, and as you know by now, we don't have to pay for those. And there were no ancillary items that we had to pay for the car. So let's move this episode's stats across to the totals.
We hope the Long Free Ride is demonstrating that you can do long road trips in an electric vehicle. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel to help us bring this message to a wider audience.
I've seen 3-year-olds that can scoot faster than that.